Hey guys, this is part two of the applications lesson, and we're going to hit bearings again, which we've had earlier in this course. But if you'll recall, the last time we had bearings, we forced it to be a right triangle. And this time, we are not going to force it to be a right triangle. So we're going to use the law of cosines and law of sines to help us out, depending on what kind of problem we have. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, I'm warning you, I'm a terrible drawer, so I might have to pause this several times, but just bear with me. So Dennis and Robin walk 6 miles due north from their cabin. Okay, so we are going to walk 6 miles due north. I'm going to start down here. 6 miles due north to their cabin. Okay, and then they turn 40 degrees to the east. So never eat shredded wheat. So they're going to turn 40 degrees to the east. So I'm going to say that. And let's see how far they walked. And they walked 4 miles more. Okay, so this is 40 degrees. So we know that. Okay, find the distance that Dennis and Robin were from their cabin after walking the 10 miles. Okay, so that 10, they're getting it from this and this. So they want to find the distance where they are now to their cabin. And it says round to the nearest tenth. Okay, so I'm just going to call that x. So let's think about what we have. We have side length, and we're trying to find this other side length. So hopefully by now you're pretty comfortable with you have to use a law of cosine. So that's where we're going to begin. There's something else that we're missing that we're going to get to is we need to find, let me do this different color. We need to find this angle right there. So we're going to get to that in a second. Let me show you what you can do right now without even thinking about it is plugging in that formula. So we have side length, side length. So remember, I'm going to take 6 squared plus 4 squared minus 2, 6 times 4 times the cosine of something. Okay, so that's that angle that I just showed you. So let's kind of break it apart. So if this is 40, I know that this has to be 50 degrees. So I know that. I also know that this part was due south, or they went due north, however you want to think about it. So this is 90. So that whole angle there, right here, is 90 plus 50, which is 140 degrees. So that's what I'm going to put in there. And so from here, it's a calculator problem. I'll go ahead and write the answer down. Your answer is about 9.42 miles. So if you're not getting this and you set it up like this, honestly, when I first started doing these, I was putting in my calculator all at once, and my calculator didn't like that. And so if you're setting it up correctly and not getting this, it's probably just you not knowing your calculator well enough. So just, it took me a couple minutes to just figure out what it wanted and just kind of go from there. So that should be an easy fix. This is an exam ample or an exam maple. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know how that happened. Okay, so let's do this again. I think what I want you to do is read through this and kind of, I'm looking for like this picture. So go ahead and push pause and see what you can get from that. Okay, so in this problem, this is what your triangle should look like. And it's not only asking the distance, it's also asking the bearing. So this is going to be new to us. So for the distance, we're going to do the same thing as we did up here. So we're going to treat it the same way. So we're going to type that into the law of cosines formula. Again, we've got side length, and we're trying to find the side length. So 8 squared plus 4 squared minus 2 times 8 times 4 times the cosine of something. Okay, so let's talk about that cosine of something. Well, so we need, let me write this. We need this angle right there. So if this whole thing is 150, this little piece on the right-hand side, that's going to be 30 degrees. Okay, so let's go down here on the left-hand side. This was 45 degrees. So alternate interior angles tell us that that's 45 degrees as well. So I have 45 plus 30, and I know that the angle T is 75. So that completes the formula, and I'm just going to type it in my calculator, and I end up getting about 7.96 kilometers. Okay, so let's talk about the bearing part of it. So what is the bearing of City C from Village V? So this is a big thing. So we're not going from C to V, we're going the other way around. So we're going from here to that direction there. So we need to figure that out. So this, I'm going to do this in a different color to kind of explain what I want. So the bearing is going to be this right here. You guys can see that green, it's kind of thin. That's going to be our bearing. Well, I already know that part of our bearing is 45 degrees. So 45 plus, and then whatever this angle measure is, I'm just going to call it theta. That's going to actually give us, like the sum of that is going to give us our bearing. So this is a little bit of a problem because we don't know what this is. So we are going to have to use a different part of the law of cosines to figure out this angle. So if you'll recall, I'll come over here and do it. This formula. So think, or go back there in your notes and kind of fill that in. So I have, I'm going to go ahead and write this all out. Okay, so remember, so this is how we're going to set it up. And we found this, that's at 7.96. This is the two side lengths. And remember that side length, that's opposite the angle. That's what we're going to subtract. So that's how I set it up. And then these are the two side lengths on the bottom. Okay, so we're going to type these in our calculator. If I get theta equals cosine inverse, and I got like this long yucky decimal. And so I'm just going to keep that in my calculator and do cosine inverse. And I got that theta equals about 29.03 degrees. Okay, so now we're going to, well, plug that in there. So I'll just rewrite it. 29.03. And so I end up getting 74.03. Okay, and this is going to be my bearing. So let's go back, kind of revisit. So remember, I'm looking for this whole angle right there from the north. And so I did 45 plus that angle. And so this is my bearing. Okay, so for this next problem, go ahead and read through it and make your triangle. This one is really straightforward, so go ahead and see if you can do the whole thing. Sorry guys, you won't be able to do the whole thing. I was looking at the wrong problem. I'm going to tell you, I want you to set up the triangle. Try to do it, but I'm going to tell you that this one is going to use the law of sine. So see what you can do with that. Okay guys, so this is how you should set up your triangle. The problem with this one is that it has both x and y for my variables, and so it's not going to be as simple as the ones that we've done before. So that's where the law of sine comes in. It's really nice that we have like this 40-degree angle right here, and we have its opposite side length. So we have that nice ratio here. We need to solve for x and y, so it doesn't really matter what we're going to do first. I'm going to tell you that I think that the y is going to be easier to be solved. And so, sorry, trying to make a capital Y. And so I'll kind of show you why here in a second. So if we look at this and let's look at, let me do this. So right here, if this is 300, this is 60 degrees, right? So we're going to use our alternate interior angles. and know that that is 60 degrees as well. So, so we actually do have this angle y, so I'm going to erase it and put in that 60 degrees. So our y isn't going to be that hard to find. So we're just going to cross multiply and find y. And I believe if you do it correctly, you're going to get about 808.4 kilometers. Okay, now we have to find this other angle over here to solve for x. So I'm going to go ahead and just like set it up. So I'll say the sine of 40 over 600 equals sine of x, angle x, over little x. So this is going to be our big X right here. So this is kind of a mess right now. So we're going to kind of figure out how to get there. Okay, so if this is 60, then I know this little piece is 30. And if this is 40 degrees, I know that this piece down here is 40 and that this makes a right angle. So this is 50. So I think we just found it. So right here, I have 30 plus 50. And so this angle measure is going to be 80. So just kind of like a little problem solving that you have to do. Okay, so then we're going to cross multiply, and you should get x is about 919.25 kilometers. Okay, and so let's go back and make sure we're answering the question. It says find the total distance traveled. So we already had the 600. So we're going to add the 808.4, and we're going to add the 919.25. And we end up getting about 2,327.65 kilometers for our final answer. Okay, so this one, I want you to see if you can do it on your own, and I'll do it as well. Just notice that you need to find the distance and bearing. This one is going to be very similar to this one here. So I'm going to push pause and see what you can do with it. Okay, I wanted to stop it here before we got to the bearing. So we're going to just use the law of cosine. So we have the two sides and we're looking for that third side. So that's really normal. The way I got this is I took, this is a straight line obviously. So I took the 115 minus, or 180 minus 115, I got 65. So if this is 65, this is 65. So I added them together to get that 140. Okay, so now let's talk about the bearing. So again, we need to figure out where we're coming from and where we're going to. So we're going from A to C. So we're going from A to C. So we need to figure out this angle right there. And that is going to be our bearing angle. So let's kind of get a game plan. We already know that like that previous one, let's take off the blue here. So notice that we already have from like north to this line, that is going to be 115. So let's look at it this way. If we take, I'll do it in this color. If we take 115 minus whatever this is, I'm just going to call that theta. That is going to give us that bearing that we need. So that's our goal, is to get that bearing. Okay, so it looks like we need to focus on getting that. So we're going to have to use that, the law of cosines, but like to find the angle measurement of it. So we're going to do that, and we're going to set it up. So we need to find some things first. Okay, so we have the two side lengths here, and then this is the one that we're going to subtract the square of it. So this is how you set it up. And so once you do all the math, the cosine inverse is 17.67. So let's go back to this up here. So I'm going to take 115 minus 17.67, and my bearing is 97.33 degrees. And that's it, guys.